USC is traveling to Oregon. This is crazy college football playoff implications because obviously USC fans believe that they're still in this college football playoff race, and I think with the win over Oregon, you could definitely make an argument. Uh, what's funny about Oregon's resume, though, you look at Oregon's resume, CD. Okay, I want you to find, all right, the win that Oregon has against a college football playoff ranked team
It's not going to be on
currently.
there. It's not going to be on there.
There's none. There's none. Not a single one. Iowa, obviously, part of that was you beating them, you know?
And
So
then
you did
USC
play
beating
a
them.
role in that. But if you lose here, one, you're not making the Big Ten championship for sure because you're still already probably on the outside looking in because you anticipate Indiana and Ohio State winning, even though some stuff could happen there. You are on the outside looking in, Oregon, if you lose this game. And it wouldn't be the first time, right? We've seen playoff caliber teams get left out of the college football playoffs. But I think it'd be really disappointing because this is a team that I definitely want to see in the playoffs because I think this is a phenomenal team. I think it's one of the more talented teams in the entire country. I love watching Dante Moore play. Even more than that, I love watching their run game just shred through people. Like, I mean, freaking defenses look like Swiss cheese. All right, when they play against this Oregon rushing attack, and the defense obviously has loads of talent on it as well, and it's shown the last couple of weeks for sure. So this is going to be an interesting matchup, though. I mean, you got a game, former Pac-12 teams that have played each other quite a bit. Jaden Mayava, obviously playing some decent football, but the rushing attack for USC has kind of been the revelation for them and been the difference maker in this offense. It's given them a new dimension, and not to mention the subtle defensive improvements haven't hurt either. But these are two good football teams playing in Austin Stadium this weekend.
Yeah, not to mention the coaching matchups too. I think offensively, with Lincoln Riley and Will Stein going up against, Tosh Lupoy, Dan Linney for Oregon. You got Danton Lynn for USC. A lot of good coaches there, a lot of talent. You said up and down the roster here. It'll be a great environment out there in Eugene. They have an extra day as well because they did have that game on Friday against Minnesota where they stomped the Gophers. You're looking at common opponents here and how they fared against Iowa, right? Just a couple weeks ago, they've played each other. Within the last 2 weeks, both teams have played Iowa, and USC held their own. Right now, obviously, it was different circumstances at home versus away, all that kind of stuff there. But I think USC has a chance to win this football game. The reality is, like, it's gonna revolve around stopping the run. And that's something that you either believe they can do or they cannot. And the reality is it may or may not even be on USC. It's just that's how good Oregon has been running the football this year. A stable of running backs, elite offensive lines. Hats off to Will Stein for being creative with it, especially with some of your injuries offensively and your skill position room. You get Sadiq back, who by the way is a hell of a blocker too. Hopefully you're getting healthier in that wide receiver room, and Dante Moore makes enough plays when he is called upon that you just lean on this running attack and you put USC and Jaden Maeva in spots to turn the ball over, to make plays. And a lot of times, like he a lot of good with Maeva. Sometimes you got to take the bad with it. And he has had bonehead play after bonehead play. It seems like a lot of the times on the road, he's made those tough plays, those bad decisions, and they've cost him. And I think they're going to cost him again here. The line's at 9.5. Like Vegas is all over Oregon right now for good reason because they are a really good football team. But for USC, this is a massive spot here. We talked about a couple weeks ago. I specifically was talking about Iowa as a chance to hang their hat on an Oregon win and put them into college football playoff considerations. This is USC's spot here. Leave no doubt about that. An 8-2 USC team who only has to play UCLA right at home next weekend. No, never say never. I get that. I understand a lot can happen there in LA, but listen, this is massive. Like I don't think people realize, it's just because how quiet they've been since the Illinois loss, as well as the Notre Dame loss on the road, both on the road, by the way. This USC team like is one win away essentially, in a under 10-point spread from going to the college football playoff. And I think we're not really accepting that as college football people until they actually go out and beat Oregon. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm on Oregon here. With all that being said, I like them to run the football. Defensively, they're damn good. They'll get after Maeva. They'll try to stop Makai Lemon and Lane. They probably won't, but the reality is they're going to score so many points it won't even matter.
They could, though. I mean,
You get the best secondary.
Oregon's secondary is I don't know if it's the best
Second?
secondary in the entire country, but it is
In the Big Ten?
up there. Metrically, it's one of the best for sure. You can't even argue that. So they have been dominant there. They have found ways to stop, if some of that is some of the quarterbacks that they have played.
Yep.
Particularly in the last couple weeks.
Hey.
Look, love me some Drake Lindsay, but on the road, it's been tough for Minnesota this year. But I look at this I'm with you, right? USC has given up over 5.5 yards per carry the last 4 games to opponents' leading rushers. Jaden Malva, you mentioned struggles on the road. 3 straight road games with an interception. Those are costly mistakes. However, against this elite secondary, if Jaden Malva throws for 350 yards and takes care of the football, absolutely they're in this football game. And you get like an absolutely legendary moment and Jaden Malva is probably going down, in already a storied program where you're like, man, we're going to talk about him in 10 years. Like, man, remember that Jaden Malva game, against Oregon where he went into Autzen Stadium and just found a way to get them in the college football playoffs and knocked Oregon out of the college football playoffs?
Yeah.
That would be nuts. That would be absolutely nuts. I dream of that happening. I think that would be the best way that this story ends here. But I do think that this Oregon team may be a little bit overwhelming, especially at home, in the way that you talked about the ground game. I think, Dante, we don't talk about this. Like, when you're an underdog, what do you need to do, right? You need to, get stops, turnovers help, and you need to take care of the football. Oregon has been one of the best teams in the entire country taking care of the football. So I don't know that this weekend is the week that they start giving up the football. Now turnovers happen, and they're
random,
pretty random sometimes, especially fumbles. But I think that the running back stable has done a good job taking care of the football, and even Dante Moore, most of the time, I think does a pretty decent job taking care of the football and keeping it out of harm's way. Unlike you talked about Mayava, who, by the way, I still think is probably top 4 quarterback in the Big Ten, top 5.
Yeah, outside of San Mendoza, Moore
could be Mayava.
Yeah, that's probably
where
I'm
you put
at.
Damon Williams, right? I mean, I'm probably Mayava over Damon Williams. yeah. Gronowski? No, Kaliak Manis. No, I'm just saying, when you're playing against Oregon, you have to grade on a different scale, right? So Mayava is a phenomenal quarterback. We're not saying he's a bad quarterback at all. In fact, you know how many SEC teams would probably take Jaden Mayava as their starting quarterback right now? Like a stupid amount of them. There's probably 3 teams in the SEC that maybe wouldn't take Jaden Mayava. So with that being said, though, I'm laying the 9.5 with Oregon with you. I don't feel particularly great about that. Backdoor cover, obviously in play here, but I do think that even though USC does have a lot of the talent, they have the elite offensive line, I think there are a couple edges here that gives Oregon a chance to really run away with this game, quite literally, at home.
Couple big stats here. I think I'm looking at Maeva in losses, right, against Illinois, against Notre Dame on the road, 42 and 43 passing attempts. That is not where you want him to be. As much as we love him, right? You want King Miller and those guys touching the ball a lot more offensively. You want to be able to get in that kind of rhythm where you're not playing from behind, right? In that game, CJ Carr, for Notre Dame, Luke Altmaier, they had 26 passing attempts each, right? So that's 16 less attempts, for the opposing team than yourself. I understand there's different scheme and all that kind of things, but Notre Dame was able to run the ball 44 times, Illinois 35. Like those kind of trends are not sustainable against Oregon in Autzen this year, especially with the way they are constructed. You want to see that attempts a little bit more even. Now, you test Dante Moore, he will make you pay. That's kind of going to be one of those things, like, you're just going to have to live with it, and you're going to have to score points. But you just just don't get gashed if you're USC. Just try not to get gashed. Have success running the ball on your own, and don't put Maeva in spots where he has to play hero ball.
More than even just having success running the football, don't give up on the
Yep.
run game.
Yep.
Because Indiana didn't. You'd have to go back to September when Oregon played against Northwestern and scored some garbage time long touchdowns, all right, to find a game where an opponent's running backs against Oregon averaged more than 4 yards per carry. Okay. So chances are, USC fans, you are not going to rush for 5 yards a carry. You're not going to do it against this team. But if you stick to the ground game and you shorten this game and you find enough stops on defense, just enough stops, and Jaden Allen makes enough plays on third down, just don't abandon the run game. All right. I think as much as you want to have success against the run game, I don't know in the run game, I don't know how realistic that is for you. Right. Fernando Mendoza made some big time plays and big time moments. You also had some defensive plays, some turnovers that really helped you in that Indiana game. But I think like a really important aspect of that game that's quite overlooked was the fact that Indiana didn't give up running the football, particularly when they had the lead for sure. Like they didn't feel like they had to throw the football, despite having currently the Heisman favorite as their quarterback. They didn't feel like they had to throw the football. And I think that if you're USC, you shouldn't feel like you have to throw the football, even if you're, I don't know, down 10 in like the third quarter. You shouldn't feel like you have to just be chucking the ball, like you said, 40, 42 times a game in this one.